Come on, Joe, get busy.
Yeah, hi, this is Charles Baty of Little Charlie and the Nightcats, and it's good that you're on guitar.com. It's the place to go if you want to find out about guitars and about what professional guitar players are doing. If you're interested more in Little Charlie and the Nightcats, you might check out the Alligator Records website, or try littlecharlie.com, which we're working on right now. It has a link to Alligator Records and a link to our schedule, and we hope it will have some more interesting things in the near future. Thanks much.
How do you fit something like Charlie Parker with maybe what you're listening to on your own time, I guess, and I guess maybe studying even. Mm-hmm. How do you fit that into the context of what Little Charlie and the Nightcats do?
Well, there's certain vehicles that we have that for solo. One thing that the band has always strive for is to try to not just do the same solo night after night. To have it be like jazz in the sense that it's very improvisational. The arrangements are subject to change. The length of the solos change. And so, for instance, there are songs we do. "Eyes Like a Cat" is one. It's basically a jump blues, and so I can take ideas from Charlie Parker solos and incorporate that into that very easily. And
show us an example of what's going on there.
Well, say "Eyes Like a Cat" is basically a 12-bar jump in D flat. So it's just the basic rhythm. That's just playing a lot of bebop lines in the context of blues, and when you do that, you imply other chords, and that are maybe a little bit different voicings from the standard just straight ahead blues. And so what's important then is to be able to work with the same band. We have a great bass player, Ronnie James Weber, in our group, who knows how to play with my playing. He can hear where I'm going and be able to play a line that supports what I'm doing. This may be different from night to night. Sometimes it's better to pedal or to stay real basic. Sometimes you might do the, when you're doing that kind of bird blues, when you're doing the, like the B flat to A flat, A minor half diminished to D7, G minor to C7, F minor to B flat. That's just in the first 4 bars. You can play those kind of things over blues, but you just have to have everybody has to be playing at the same time, otherwise it sounds wrong, And that's basically one thing that a lot of people don't realize is you have to arrange songs. You know, you can't just go out there and play totally free form unless people have the ability to hear where you're going and do that. And so we don't have a set arrangement, but we have a lot of different arrangements that we can basically fall into. I might play a certain lick, and that will cue somebody if I'm going in that direction.
Are you saying that maybe that lick, that they know that particular lick is, like you've discussed that lick?
Not discussed it. They
heard you do it before.
Yeah, you know, maybe they stumbled the first time they heard it, but now they know where it's going, or they just tend to know where I'm gonna go with it. And so you know, there's little things like that you can do that's unspoken communication. You know, we have certain. For instance, we do a Freddie King song, and not really jazz, but I think it's sidetrack. It goes. The one that goes. That song right there, and so when I get done with the solo, basically I always do this one little. Let's say I'm playing a little. Playing in the key of G, and so I'm doing. And when I want to let them know we're going to go to the bridge, I start muting the strings, and I go. As soon as I hear that muting, then they know it's time to go. Go to the bridge, and so. Just one of those unspoken kind of things that you do, and that's from being in the band for 25 years.
Man.
You know, we're lucky to have that.
How has your playing evolved over the years? Because certainly you probably, especially if you were starting with like guys like Muddy and all that, you were starting with a more basic form of the blues than what you've just been showing us.
Right. And
can you kind of show us a little bit of that evolution in your own playing?
Sure. There's one of the first guys that really changed my playing was Robert Jr. Lockwood, because he played so many nice voicings of chords, and instead of just playing a simple the basic just one chord, one type of chord for each change, he might play. Chords and things like that had a much sweeter sound than the kind of blues that Muddy was playing, and then I listened to that. Charlie Christian was the guy that everybody said you got to listen to, and then he was the one who really got me to hearing different kinds of notes. You know, in normal blues, you might not play a flat second or a flat sixth. You know, they just sound. They sound out of context, but if you connect it chromatically, it sounds good. Or you might use it as to alter a chord right before a chord change, like, or things like that. So there's times when it sounds good, and I got that from listening to people like Charlie Christian, and then from the Robert Jr. to Charlie Christian. Then I started listening to the horn players that played with those guys, and guys like Lester Young, and then eventually Charlie Parker, and actually Charlie Parker and Charlie Christian play very much similar. They play right out of chord forms, and they're very logical players. Yeah, you might play a sixth chord. always ways you can embellish, just going more and more by taking simple chords and then trying to move them maybe down one, up and down one fret, like, or that's a pretty common device in blues, to slide up. That's an E flat chord, which would be on the 4. Luther Tucker used to play, where you're playing basically an E flat 6, catching that high note there. I like to use notes different than the key that the chord is in the root of the chord. So instead of always using the like with the bar chord, you have the B flat would be here on your bottom there. But if you play this B flat chord, the 3rd is a low note. If you play this B flat chord, the F or the 5th is the bottom note. There's another B flat chord with the 5th on the bottom. For one thing, when you can move in smaller intervals instead of always moving up the 4th or something like that, it just gives it more of a piano sound for rhythm. Another important thing for the for guitar player, if you're playing with the harmonica, you don't want to play real high chords, like all the time, because you're up in the range of the harmonica. You like to be able to play underneath it. So play, maybe just play up to the 3rd of a chord. Let the harmonica solo on top of it. You can use voicings like this E flat 9th chord, where you have you start out with the B flat with the 5th on the top. You still have the same note on the top. And it just gives the harmonica a lot of range to be able to work on top of it. And then there's that kind of the common tonality of changing from one chord to another, but keeping the same note on top of the chord that helps it sound bluesy. It sounds to actually use bar chords and go. There's just so much movement there, not just physical movement, but it just doesn't sound as pleasant as to be able to keep the notes clustered closer together. They almost sound like the same chord because there are similar notes in there. That's the C minor 11th, so now 7th, or that B flat 7th. Any of those, you're keeping a lot of the same basic part of the. You're in the same part of the neck, and it has the same kind of sound. And so it's nice for comping. Now the other thing, Robert Jr. did a lot of great things with in the key of E, and of course Jimmy Rogers was the same way too. That they use the open strings. And so, for instance, if you're playing, an older style blues like in the key of E, they'll do pull-offs and things on open strings to give it a fuller sound. And it's like the Robert Johnson kind of approach in a sense, but I like doing that in a band such as a quartet because it makes it sound like there's 2 guitars being played. So you would play stuff using the when you basically fret there on the 8th fret on the B string. Got a real primitive sound to it. Or a lot of guys playing in the key of A, they basically just drone. Drone the bass string on the key that you're in. Song that we do in the band as a tribute to that part of Little Walter's career. Doing that kind of stuff because it, it sounds really full. And one thing people ask me a lot about is I like to switch from playing with my fingers and with the pick. And so, and people think, well, they think I'm not using a pick because I hold it in an unorthodox manner. But for instance, I'll do I sort of palm the pick.